Hello everyone, welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to understand that how can you decide whether you should buy a car and which car you should buy. Okay? So the objective of this lecture is going to first cover what is the thumb rule of buying a car. Okay? Second, we are going to understand that how should you finance a car. Okay? And at last, we are going to discuss about that what are the other factors that you need to remember before buying a car. Okay? So let us begin. Okay. So we will begin our discussion today by first understanding what is the thumb rule for budgeting for a car. Okay? So the standard thumb rule for budgeting for a car is 20 is to 4 is to 10. Now, what does this mean? So, in this thumb rule, 20 stands for that 20% of the on-road price of the car should be your down payment for the car. Okay. So, for example, this is just an example for ease. Okay. So, in case if the on-road price of the car is 1 lakh rupees, I'm saying just assume. Okay. Then the 20% of 1 lakh rupees, that is 20,000 rupees, is going to be the down payment. Okay. Now, the 4 in the same thumb rule stands for repayment time in years. So, whenever you are taking a car loan, that car loan should be repaid back within 4 years. Okay. And lastly, the 10 in this thumb rule says that any expense that you are, that you are expending on the car, for example, any expense that you're incurring for the car, for example, say EMI payments, petrol payments, maintenance payment of the car, all this should be 10% of your monthly income. 10% of your monthly income. It should not exceed that. So the thumb rule is 20 is to 4 is to 10. That is 20% should go to the down payment, 4 should be the repayment years of your car loan, and at last 10% should be the amount you have to incur as an expense on the car. Okay. Now, the value of the car that you can purchase will be dependent upon your monthly income. Okay. Now, to understand how this thumb rule will actually work and how can it help you to decide whether you should buy a car or not, I have prepared a financial tool that we can use to understand whether you should actually go ahead with the decision of buying a car or not. Okay. So let us begin and understand this with the financial tool. Great. I hope my screen is visible. Okay. So this is a financial tool that I have prepared that will help you decide which car should you buy, okay, or whether actually you can afford a car or not, right? Okay. So over here, again, the rules are same. You only have to touch the green cells. Please do not touch the gray cells. They are auto-computed, okay? Now, you will see over here, there's this table, correct? In this table, the first question that I'm asking you to enter is that what is your annual income? So in scenario 1, your annual income is 7 lakh rupees. In scenario 2, your annual income is 15 lakh rupees. And in scenario 3, your annual income is 24 lakh rupees. Okay. Now, basis this, the formula will auto compute your monthly income. Okay. That was your annual income. Now, this formula will compute your monthly income, right? It is auto computed. You do not need to do anything as soon as you will enter your annual income over here, the monthly incomes will be auto computed, right? Now, post this, you will enter certain car details. Okay. You will enter the price of the vehicle, that is X showroom price. So for example, say in scenario 1, you are thinking of purchasing a car which has an X showroom price of 4 lakh rupees. Okay. And in scenario 2, you are thinking of purchasing a car which has an X showroom price of 10 lakh rupees. No problem. Enter. Sorry, this is only one more zero and 10 lakh rupees. And in third scenario, you are thinking of purchasing a car of say 15 lakh rupees. Okay. Now, the insurance cost in the first case, let's assume it's only 20,000 rupees. Then in scenario 2, the other insurance road tax cost that you have to bear, let's assume it's 1 lakh. And finally, in the last scenario, let's assume it is 1,50,000 rupees. Okay. Now, this sheet will auto compute what is your on-road price of the car. The sheet will compute your on-road price of the car, right? After this, you will enter the car loan details will be auto computed once you have entered all the information above. All this information once you have inputted, these details will be auto computed. Now let's see. For example, since the thumb rule says 20% should be your down payment, correct? Over here, you will see it has auto computed that out of the total price of the car, you need to pay, for example, in scenario 1, 84,000 rupees as the down payment, right? In scenario 2, you need to pay 2,20,000 rupees. And finally, in scenario 3, you need to pay 3,30,000 rupees as the down payment, right? So based on your down payment and the price of the car, I have over here computed that what will be the loan amount, the amount of loan that you need to take. Say, for example, you have already paid 84,000 rupees for a car, then you only have to pay, take a loan of 3,36,000 rupees, right? 3,36,000 rupees. Similarly, we have auto computed here as well for other scenarios. Now, based on this, using the PMT formula, we have calculated that what will be your EMI, right? If you have taken a loan of 3,36,000, then your EMI is going to be 8,124 rupees. Now, the interest rate over here has been assumed as 7.5%. You can change it also, okay? For example, I can update it as 8% and all these figures will get updated, right? Period of loan is fixed 4 years because it is as per our thumb rule. Remember 2410. Now 4 is the repayment years. Correct? Now after this we have computed our EMI also over here. Next what you have to do for me is you need to input that what is the mileage of your car. Okay, let's assume your mileage of the car is 20 in first case, then assume it's 30 in the next case, and in the last case it's 32. I'm just assuming, okay? Then you have to input what is the price of the petrol or diesel, rupee per liter. I'm assuming it's 100. It's constant 100. Okay. Now then you have to put in the information that how many kilometers do you travel every month. Say in all the scenarios you are traveling 500 kilometers every month. Okay. I'm assuming this. You can obviously, this is a green cell. You can update it based on your information. Now this tool will itself auto compute your fuel cost over here. Okay. After this, what is the maintenance cost yearly that you will have to incur on the car? I have assumed in scenario 1, you are incurring 0.5% of the showroom price of the car, showroom price of the car as the maintenance cost. In scenario 2, you are incurring 1% and in 3, 2%. You can again change it based on your situation. Now, this financial tool will itself auto compute your maintenance cost per year. See, 4 lakh rupees multiplied by 0.5% is going to be your 2000 rupees. Okay. Now, finally, after computing everything, the EMI, other costs that you're incurring for the car, we realize that total car related expense, if you buy a car of say 4 lakh rupees in scenario 1, then you will have to incur a total car expense of 12,000 rupees. Now, what does this include? This includes your EMI, your petrol expenses, your maintenance expenses. Okay. So, in scenario 1, you will have to incur 12,700 rupees. In scenario 2, you will have to incur 33,000 rupees. And in scenario 3, you will incur 63,000 rupees. Right? Now, what does the rule say? 24 is to 10. Now, what was 10? That the expenses, the monthly expenses that you are going to incur for a car should be only 10% of your monthly income. Am I correct? Should be only 10% of your monthly income. So, you will see over here that in first case, your monthly expense should be 5,833 rupees. But actually, based on the actual numbers, your cost will come to 12,000 rupees, which simply means that you are expending more than what the thumb rule has suggested. The thumb rule suggested 10% you should, incur as an expense, but you're incurring more than that, right? So the tracker will itself auto compute and tell you, please do not buy the car. As per thumb rule, you should not buy the car because the expenses are higher. The expenses are higher based on your monthly income. You should definitely not go ahead with buying this car. Okay. Similarly, in the other scenarios also, right now the expenses are too high, higher than the thumb rule, so the tracker is telling you to not buy the car, to not buy the car. Okay. Now, when can actually you buy a car? So let's see, for example, you are in scenario 2. Okay, let's see when this value will actually become positive. Let's see, if we take a 4 lakh rupees car and say your expenses, your insurance cost and everything is just 10% of it, then does it become positive? No, it becomes slightly lesser, right? You see, it becomes slightly lesser. Say you purchase a 3 lakh 30,000 rupees car, it will come to 30,000 rupees. Will it become? Yeah, it becomes positive. So as per the tracker, you will see it says now you can buy a car. So as per the tracker, you can only buy a car which is of 3 lakh 30,000 rupees or has a onward price of 3 lakh 60,000 rupees, right? So this is how you can actually use the tracker, play with the numbers and actually see for yourself whether your dream car is a car that you can afford or not. Okay, great. So this tracker is available in the resources section. Please go ahead, input your numbers based on your situation and decide whether you should buy a car or not. Okay, great. Now let's move on. So till now we have understood that how to basically decide whether you can afford a car or not. We covered the thumb rule of 20 is to 4 is to 10 and we saw a financial tracker about it, right? Now we are going to discuss that, okay, now the tracker has said, okay, you can buy a car. Good, now you can buy a car. But how can you finance for the car? Where will you get money for the car, right? Well, the answer to that is, see, you have to focus on goal-based investing, on goal-based investing. Now, this is the mantra, right? Whenever you want to buy something, please rely on goal-based investing. Simply put, what does goal-based investing is? That, for example, you know that you need to buy a car of say 10 lakh rupees after 3 years. Now, for those 3 years, you will invest money slowly and slowly so that after 3 years, you have accumulated a total of 10 lakh rupees. And that is what is goal based investing. Okay. Now, where will you invest for 3 years? Where will you invest your money for these 3 years? That will be amongst different financial instruments in different asset classes. Okay. You will invest this money in different asset classes. For example, we have already learned this in our previous lectures that whenever the goal is less than 3 years, right? It's within 3 years. We always rely on debt funds, right? We always invest our money in debt funds, right? So you can use a combination of different types of debt fund, different types of debts. For example, you can invest a certain amount in a debt fund. Say you can invest 40% in a debt fund. Okay. You can invest 20% in an FD. You can invest 10% in a bond and finally 30% in a T-bill, right? Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, let me show you. For example, say the cost of the car is rupees 10 lakh. Now, what do I mean by that? Right? Over here, you will see that out of this 10 lakhs, what you can do is you can invest 4 lakh rupees in a debt fund. Okay. 2 lakh rupees in FDs. Then you can invest 1 lakh rupees in bonds and the balance 3 lakh rupees you can invest in T-bills. Okay. And this is what is goal-based investing. First, you identify what is your goal. Second, you identify how much time period is left for you to achieve that goal. And based on the time period, you will select the asset classes that will suit you to actually complete that goal. Now, in the current case, since the time period was 3 years, we chose to invest our money in debt. And within that debt also, we have diversified our money. We have diversified our money into different asset classes, different types of debts. For example, we invested in a debt. We can invest in a debt fund, FD, bond, and T-bills, right? So that is how you decide whether you should buy a car. And also, this is how you decide how should you start saving for your dream car. Okay. So I really hope this lecture was fun for you. I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you.